Getting old, man.
All right. Listeners, I have one of my good buddies here. This dude, man, you'll just never meet a dude that's more dedicated to family, a good friend, good home inspector, and he's figured out how to pivot. And, because we're all so dependent on that housing, you know, the housing market. Mr. Malcolm, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good, man. I appreciate the kind words. That means a lot coming from you, Preston.
Well, cool. Well, tell us a little bit about you. Some people may be meeting you for the first time. How'd you get in home inspection? Did you, take a wrong turn in life somewhere, or did you? I'm sure
You
that wasn't
know,
on your bingo card in high
you
school. It wasn't
know,
on mine.
no,
How'd you
it
get here?
wasn't. So, I my first career was defense contracting. After several years of that, realizing that, I'm working harder than the majority of my colleagues, which is fine. I just want to make more. I decided that I'm going to do my own thing. I got a real estate buddy that said be an inspector, and I was like, sure, the hell with it. I don't know what I'm doing. I did have to go through the course, several times. Um, and that was about 10 years ago, man, 2014, 2015, and quickly realized that I needed a coach. That's when I actually met you at Ken Compton's thing. Um, and really just realized at a year or so in that we need teams, man, and we're going to win with teams. Not to say that every hire and experience has been peachy by any
Right.
means. We did realize that we need people. We need good people. So we quickly became the largest inspection town, which in town inspection firm in town, which doesn't really mean a lot in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But several years ago, we decided to pivot, like you said, and do some other things. We purchased a staging company. We formed a foundation company, which we've built and sold.
Oh,
We've
wow. I
now,
didn't even know that.
yeah, we've now got into pest control and radon mitigation and big into like short-term rental housing. Um,
Wow.
so that's where we're at now, man.
Dude, you need to be writing books. I'm trying to write a book about marketing. This guy, man, he's like, man, you entrepreneurship on multiple levels. Well,
I
well,
could
let me back.
probably write the chapter of what not to do,
Me too.
Preston.
Me too.
Yeah,
It's like process of elimination,
there
right?
you go. There you go. There you go.
I can tell you all the things not to do, and then finally, broken
Well,
clocks right twice a day, right?
when somebody buys your book on marketing, they're going to quickly realize that shit works. The next problem is saying yes to the people that call you and do the work.
Right,
So
right.
there's that.
100%. Well, and what I've learned too, marketing's important, very important. To me, it's like, what's that saying about nothing happens till something's sold? But, in the home inspection world and probably a lot of those other worlds, marketing is just going to get them to use you the first time. If you
Yeah.
don't have, you know, a good product, a good service, a good, good reputation, they're not going to use you the second, third, and 43rd time, which is what we did, what we want. But I got to back up. You said so much there, so many things I want to ask you about. I don't even know which direction. It's like a plethora of
Sorry. Sorry.
directions.
I don't know what direction either. So
Well, in the old days, I had this really scripted, questionnaire, but I'm deciding now to get a little more like flow where, where it goes, where it goes.
hell yeah.
Um, Let me back up first. You said you were a defense contractor. Uh, Now, was that in Chattanooga? And are you from Chattanooga? And is that where Alan Jackson's from? Is that where the song is?
I
Chattahoochee.
think that's
Is that the river that goes
Chattahoochee.
through the?
No, no, the Tennessee River is what flows through here.
Oh, okay. I knew there was a
Um,
river that went through there, and the Chatta
yeah.
something another.
No, I was actually born overseas and then moved to the Chattanooga area ish at a
Okay.
young age. And then the majority of my defense contracting was in the Middle East or traveling in the US to different military installations.
Okay, so
So
how did you
100%
wind up?
travel.
How did you wind up? And I haven't been to Chattanooga, but I've heard great things. I've been to Western North Carolina, but because you're like in that corner, right, right there above Georgia, and like
Yep.
North Carolina's close. I mean, like in
Yep.
that corner there. I've been
Yep.
close. I mean, I know I've been close because I've been, and my both my kids go to Clemson, so I go to Atlanta, and I need to go to Chattanooga. So, what? How did you wind up in the Chattanooga area?
I mean, I was kind of raised a couple hours from here. Yeah, I don't really know, Preston.
No,
By
I mean, I'm not
default,
saying it's like a bad thing. I'm just curious. Like,
stop grilling me, dude. You know, my wife's from here. We bought a couple houses, and early in our marriage, we realized that Chattanooga is really affordable
yeah, yeah.
and really big on the outdoors, and you know, we like the outdoors.
Awesome, awesome. So you got into doing home inspections, and we met back at Ken Compton's. Gosh, that's probably been 15 years or so ago, I bet.
It, it
As
was
you
at
get
least
older,
10,
though, I
yeah.
mean, I think something's like 2 years ago, and it's like eight. I don't know
Yeah.
if that happens to you. But so tell me first about how you built out the home inspection company. What you start out, were you one man shop, and then how did you? Where are you now with the home inspection part? Before we get into the other stuff.
Like everybody, I think we started like the majority of people that started 10 years ago. Yeah. It was me. And then, going through some coaching, we hired somebody to answer the phones, hired somebody to do inspections. And then now we have a CEO instated that runs the inspection team. We probably just do, 40 or so a week. Um, the,
Just do 40 or so a week. That's not
uh,
bad, man.
Well, we've kind of been at that for a while. The thing is too, I know that I could work a little more on that, but I'll probably give it an hour or two, three a week, and then just focus on some other things. Fortunately, we've got a solid team that may not be the super greatest at growing, but they're really good at everything else.
Yeah. Well, and to me, there's two types of marketing, right? There's the
Uh,
outward marketing, where you're like, I'm great, buy my stuff. But then there's the inward marketing where you do a good job and people talk about you.
right. There's a
And that's
balance.
actually the best type of marketing of all. A little bit slower, but longer lasting.
Yep.
What did you do to build the home inspection business? Like, because there's a lot of guys listening to this that they're just starting out. What tips would you give them?
Man, you asked me that question 8 years ago when you brought me on your podcast. It's the
Yeah.
same answer, man. You just find a couple of good agents and you schmooze them. That's I think the route that a lot of people have taken because it's fruitfulness and it's ease. I would probably edit my answer a little more today of like make sure that that referral partner is somebody that you want to sit and have a beer with, and not throw you under the bus or be a D bag. Um,
Tell us how you really feel.
there's also, I think you saw last conference we were at, there's some other big names that are really growing just with digital growth.
Yeah.
Google My Business, Google Ads, social media presence. So that's also a very feasible way to grow as well.
Yeah. And it's changed over the years. Back when we first knew each other, I mean, pretty much you go to some offices, pass out some cards. They always have their sale meeting on Tuesday. I don't know why it is, but it's always on Tuesday. If you can bring breakfast and get to talk, hey man, you're
Yep.
in. And that
Yep.
still works. It still works, but not as good as it used to, I don't think, because people aren't in the office as much, I
They're not in
mean,
the office, not the top producing people, anyways.
right. You got to
Yep.
figure out other ways to get to them, or, as Gary
Yep.
Vee says, you got to be where their eyeballs are, like,
Yep.
and, if you think about it, I mean, people's eyeballs are on their phones a
Yep.
whole lot. So, my thought is always, all right, on the phone, what are the real estate eyeballs on the phone? What are they on? They're on Facebook, they're on stuff. So I gotta be on the Facebook or Instagram real estate related. But we've talked a couple of times. We had barbecue, or I can't remember if it was barbecue or was it Mexican. We had ate lunch, or I can't remember.
It was
Woo!
Mexican
Oh, was it Mexican?
in
All right.
Orlando,
I can't remember, or Houston. Every time I go to a
Houston.
conference in Texas, I come back like 5 pounds heavier.
Yeah, that happens.
They do have some good barbecue, and I that's blasphemous coming from North Carolina because we take a lot of
Mm,
great pride in our barbecue. But I'm gonna tell
mm.
you, Texas has some good barbecue, and Tennessee has good barbecue too, don't it?
Yeah, ish.
Yeah. But we talked about the problem with the home inspection industry is if you're in it for a while, we're so dependent on the housing market and the real estate. I mean, and after a while, like you could be doing everything right, and the Fed raises interest rates, and guess what? Your business is going to, no matter if you're doing great service, great work, great marketing, you're probably going to lose money this year if they hike the interest rates. Or I mean, compared to last year,
Yep,
I don't know if lose money is the right word, but you're going to do so. You know, the effort has been what could else could we get into? I mean, there's advantages in the home inspection business because it's a low cost startup, right?
yep. Mhm.
There's not a whole lot of inventory. Heck, you don't even have to have. I mean, you can work out of your home. There's low, but the downside of it is, I mean, it's a six, seven, $800 product. I mean, even if you're
Right,
really good, you might get $900. It's not like you're doing a $40,000 remodel. You're not getting a $40,000 inspection. Just not happening.
right.
And I know all these coaches will tell you because they want to sell coaching to everybody in town. Oh, there's plenty to go around. There's really not. There's only a certain number of houses that are going to be sold.
And
There
if you
have
do a
been some
great job, your
coaches that
customer.
said that. There have been some coaches that have said that, and I noticed they never let anybody. Uh, they have a home inspection company, but they don't let anybody in their town into the coaching. But yeah, they're telling you,
Shocker.
yeah. And I'm not trying to throw shade, just an observation.
Yep.
But anyway,
You
I'm
know,
getting off.
and if you're doing real good, your customer only uses you twice in 5 years.
That's right. That's right.
That's
And
flawed,
I'm
bro.
not, yeah, I'm not trying to throw shade. There's advantages and disadvantages, but we got to be honest, right? We got to be realistic and honest and take any, you know, and you got to realize when people tell you stuff, ask yourself, are they trying to sell you stuff? I mean, that's what I always ask. Like, they're telling me something, but are they trying to sell me something? And if they're
Right.
trying to sell me something, am I getting a little bit of skewed information here? But anyway, you figured out that there's only so many fish in that pond, and it fluctuates, and there's probably other good home inspectors in your market. There's good home
Sure.
inspectors in my market. And you get to a point, you're doing 40 a week or whatever, and that's pretty daggone good. But they raise the interest rates, whatever. I mean, home inspection business is a good business, but it has its limitations. So
Sure.
you probably realize that. So I've been trying, and it sounds like you've done it successfully, to get into other things that don't care as much about the economy, like termites. Termites don't care what the interest rates are. you know,
Right.
Even
So,
the rental business. I own rental houses. You know, I don't care what the economy says. People are going to need a place to live, and
yep.
heating and air. I don't care what the
Yep.
economy is. Somebody's air conditioners broke down. They're going to find the
Yep.
money to get that
Yep.
fixed.
Yep.
It doesn't matter.
Yep. Yep.
So it's not quite, and every business has its pluses and minuses. So tell me what you've done. Obviously you kind of highlighted in the beginning. So what was your journey to pivot a little bit and hedge, to make money in things that aren't as dependent on the housing market or interest
You
rates?
know, let me I think that's a pretty loaded question, so I will try
Sorry.
to no, it's good. I'll try to answer it two ways. We started the foundation company because it was clear that the people in our town weren't doing a good job, and then quickly realized that there's a lot of money in it while doing a good job, and then quickly realized that we thought that the leads from home inspection is going to be the ticket. And it turns out that it wasn't. Other people that had a basement were the people that we were advertising to instead of somebody in the inspection world because are you going to fix a $10,000 waterproofing problem, or are you going to pay Uncle Joe to put a $300 vapor barrier in there? So we did learn the hard way that having that funnel, if you would, um, for that specific type of business didn't actually play out like we thought it was going to. Now, the byproduct of that is we learned that 80% of every business is the same, right? You got your
Right.
sales, your marketing, your service, your collecting.
You got an
And
admin, you got service, and
right.
and you got the doing the stuff.
And then 20% of, the rest of the business is the rest of the business. And then, I had, you said maybe you figured it out successfully. I don't think necessarily I have or we have, but I have seen some other inspection companies where they do, I don't know if we can use the word porch. If not, you delete that. Um, but their whole thing is like you said, the barrier to entry is pretty low for an inspector, but we find a shit ton of leads, man. Like we've asked the team, I don't want to do this, but if we can make an inspection free, how can we do that? By selling a roof lead? Hell, putting the roof on ourselves. Is it selling all those leads? Is it, like you said, HVAC? Is it obtaining an HVAC customer that pays you a $39 a month retainer fee for a contract? Is
Service,
it
yeah.
service agreement, whatever?
Or
Is
they
it,
could be like upgraded if they're part of your plan.
yeah,
They're the first people to be
yeah.
fixed. Something.
Yeah. Is it signing somebody up for your pest control company? Is it signing somebody up for your pool company that they come and service it regularly? I don't know if I certainly don't want home inspections to be free, but if somebody does figure that out, we're going to be in a tough spot, Preston.
Yeah, I know it. 100%. 100%. I 1,000% agree with you. Let me ask you this: so you got into the foundation and then pest control and radon remediation. Where did you go acquire the skill set or the licenses, or did you hire somebody? I know pest control is going to be licensed, and you had to get a little bit of knowledge on radon. So in foundation, how did you teach yourself this, or did you hire somebody?
Yeah, no, yeah, I did not teach myself that. We weigh heavily on current team members. So, our team holds the licenses and the knowledge and stuff like that. I think it's our job as being in leadership is that we promote the team into those. So the people that are doing pest control, the another founder of the foundation, all these guys were inspectors. They pulled the cart, they showed their value, and then we kind of, tried to create another opportunity for them to, make more money, to put their spin on
Sure.
thing, to get into something other than home inspections. I don't. That's just what we've done.
No, no, I like it. I like it. Let me back up on something you said. You found out that, like, with your foundation, going to your foundation company, it was more people with basements, if I heard you correctly. Um, is that correct? Is that what you were saying? That they
Uh,
seem to be more your target market, or turned out to be your target market?
I did say that, but I kind of misspoke. So thank you for calling me out. What I meant to say was, uh, we failed in the thought of a bad crawl space or basement in our inspection company will feed that lead. When what we turned out to realize, the people that are going to spend that money have been in that house for years. They know
Mm,
there's an issue. They know it's going to cost a lot of money, and they've been banking some of it.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Because when you said that, my mind immediately went to, you can buy all kinds of lists, AI, there's all kinds of stuff, or MLS. I'm thinking, how do I comb the MLS for houses that have basements? Like
There
put
we go. Let's
a crawler
go.
on there. I'm
Yeah.
kind of in the process of right now. We've always wanted to go direct to the public, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that, we love real estate agents, wink, wink, and we love,
Right.
having a kiss. I won't get too far, but I'm not going to speak bad of real estate agents because they've been bad. I mean, they've been good to us, but we've
Right.
all sort of gotten a little
You
tired
know,
of being beholden to.
I think the a majority of good agents too are going to say they're going to talk worse about some of the bad agents, and that's just what it is. I mean, there's bad
Yeah.
inspectors out there.
Well, I tell you where we're going is so there's a stat by the National Realtor Association. All right, so like let's say all the houses for sale in your market, however many they are. Do you know that 70% of those people are going to buy another house in your market, right? So 30%
Okay.
are, going to retirement home, moving to be close to grandkids or whatever. But 70% of them are they're going to be buyers, right?
Okay.
So my thought is, all right, how do I get to those people? I mean, their houses is for sale. How do I get to those people? And I'm the first home inspector to get to them, offer them value, help them sell their house, seller's inspection checklist, something, offer them some value, establish some trust. And oh, by the way, you're buying a house. What I'm getting at is trying to bypass the realtor and going directly to you know what I mean, to the person. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make sense for us to advertise to the general public because the general public only buys a house every 5 years. But if 70% of those people who have a house listed are going to buy a house, well, then that's worthwhile to advertise to them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the first rule of
Hell
marketing
yeah.
is, you've probably heard this. The best thing if you own a sandwich shop is to find a starving market. So it's like, where do I find the people who are hungry? That's going to
By,
be my
by,
easiest sale.
by the way, I would like to inform your listeners after you buy Preston's book, pull him aside and ask him about the shoe joke. So that's starving market. Let me ask you then, is it more complicated than a daily or weekly or whatever MLS search of new listings, and then it's a postcard or maybe even better than that, a handwritten letter that mails to that address?
There you go. There you go. There you go. I'll talk to
Huh.
you off the air about some
Okay,
AI things you
okay,
can do to get.
okay.
You can actually go a little further than that and get their name and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was thinking like I'm working out in my head, or do
Well,
you
and then
just
we're
type
trying to figure
you
out
do a
how to
reverse
plug in
search?
AI to automate some of this stuff, right? And it's a numbers game,
Oh,
and you can buy a list of everything. So it's always like, Ken used to talk about this all the time. If I can put $1 in, get $5 out, I'm going to
that's a
do that
machine that I
until
want to
it
be in
won't
front
work
of.
anymore.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So but if I'm having to put $5 in to get four out, then that's not working. you know.
It's going the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. Or even if it's, $4 to get five, there might be another machine somewhere that gives you a little better return than
Right,
that.
right.
but but that's kind of where we're going at. We'll talk off the air. I'll tell you about something, but not sure I
Okay,
want to
I like
throw that out in the general population right now.
it. Okay,
but
feel
it's
you.
kind of along that line. So you had the foundation company. So then you got into pest control as well. Is that
Yep,
now? Were you
yep,
doing structural pet like termites, and or were you
yep.
in North Carolina? There's two different licenses. There's a wood destroying insect, and then there's structural like ants, roaches, and then wood destroying, which is termites, powder post beetles, and it's actually two different phases. I have the wood destroying insect one, which is what. So were you doing both sides of that, or were you offering like routes and that
Yeah,
sort of thing?
yeah, yeah. So, we kind of got into it first because we had to get our Category 7 license, applicators license in Tennessee, um, so our inspectors could write termite letters. And
Right.
then eventually we just said, hey, all we need is one additional certification to do general pest control. Why the hell are we not doing general pest control?
Mhm.
And then we also do, yeah, we could do termite treat for termites, powder post beetles, all that stuff.
So did you start doing general pest control like they have routes and that sort of
Yeah,
thing, or
yeah,
commercial?
yeah.
Hey man, you're a regular Elon Musk there. I mean, I don't know how you how you
Okay. Oh, hold on. Just for comparison, Elon Musk designed a 40-ton rocket with 28 engines that goes to space and then lands itself. I got one guy spraying for bugs, man.
but you're running multiple businesses and doing it successfully. I'm barely running two businesses. Well, my two businesses are home inspection, and then I have rental properties, which I know you get into. I don't want to get into that too, because that's actually for all the home inspectors out there. If you guys want passive income, man, you guys should be buying rental houses, 100%.
Yep.
I mean, and you
Yep.
know what to look for. You know, now don't ever buy something that you inspected, because that's a what do you call it? Like they could say you
Conflict.
purposely did it bad, yeah.
Ah,
But
yeah.
I do it in reverse order. I, look for the deals, and on weekends I go look at potential rental houses. And by the way, they usually make great videos. So I even tell my wife, find a couple of
you,
really bad ones because they'll make great videos.
I would say that I wish I would have learned a little sooner that the value that we can bring as an inspector is you can go look at that house, whether it's first day on the market or 250th, and you can do enough inspecting in that 30-45 minutes that you can offer a contingency without an inspection.
Oh
Now,
yeah,
you're
hundred
not going
percent.
to test every outlet or every window, and you might
Yeah,
catch some damn doorknobs, but you're going to know the big ticket items within 30 minutes.
100%. Yeah, yeah. I'm looking for major structural termite mold. I'm looking for
Solid
the
strand
bones.
aluminum wiring. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if the one thing is if it's a crawl space, I definitely want to crawl it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, to me, it's always to me, it's like the crawl space and the attic are the two real telltale places. But yeah, exactly. I'm like, I got 30 minutes. I just want to find out, should I make an offer on this house? Now, obviously, if
Right.
you're an investor, contractors like, hey man, paint, carpet, that doesn't bother me. Outlets, I'm just looking for major structural, that sort of thing. So tell All right, guys. Well, if you've made it this far in the podcast, thank you for listening. This would be the point where I would promote something that I'm selling, but I really don't have anything to sell. Appreciate you listening. I am writing a book called Be the Elephant in the Room. So if you are getting value out of this, when that book comes out, I'd appreciate it if maybe you get a copy and say something good if you like it. You don't like it, just don't say anything. But anyway, just kidding. But anyway, again, thank you for listening. If you got value, follow the people that I'm interviewing, and check out a website that I have. I'm an artist, PrestonSalin.com. I do some art, and my daughter is a food. She reviews food on TikTok. Sarah Margaret Eats. So if you got value out of this, follow, like, subscribe, whatever, any of those things be much appreciated. And again, thank you for watching, listening. Tell us about your rental properties. Are you doing long-term rental, Airbnb? What are you doing? And how many do you
You
have?
know,
What's it look like?
I bought my first rental when I was 19. Um,
Man, that's
and
awesome.
I had some good guidance. We rented it for 20 years, then sold it for 3 or 4 times the amount that we bought it for. I
Oh, that's
always
awesome.
ask I always ask, what can we buy that appreciates that somebody's going to pay for, you know?
Right.
And I think we had that conversation, but like, if it's anything else besides houses, let me know because I want to know that, you know? Um, we it was accidental we got into that. We probably had 5 or 6 when I quit my last job, and it was an additional income that allowed me to quit my last job. And now I don't know, man. We probably a couple dozen. We do short term, mid term, long term, a healthy balance of all of those. We got just a couple of guys, a real good couple of guys that work full time doing that. And I've kind of found myself getting back into that just because I'm enjoying swinging a hammer. I'm enjoying pulling the dump trailer to the dump or whatever. And I'm like, that's not the best use of your time. I get it, but sometimes I just want to swing a hammer.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. You know, and there's something else too. I mean, again, I'm not a tax person and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I have talked to some tax people that may have stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. You know, I don't know if you've looked into this, Malcolm, but if you have some rentals, look into accelerated depreciation. You can do that. I'm not,
Yeah.
somebody else turned me on to this. You got to pay somebody to do it, but you
Yep.
can normally, like I was doing just straight line depreciation over what is it, 27 and a half years or something like
It
that.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. But I was turned on to that. And you know, it's like the throttles you can control in your business, right? Like, ooh, we got a lot of profit this year. Let's hit that accelerated depreciation. You know, again, I don't want the IRS to be like, oh, no, 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 no. I have accountants. It's all legal. But check into accelerated depreciation. That's something. And, you know, since you have short-term rentals, I think you can classify yourself because this was something I went through with my tax person that I couldn't quite qualify as a real estate professional because I didn't do it enough. Like I didn't have short term rent. I only have long term rentals. But anyway, I don't know, just something to check into. Um,
Um, to classify as a real estate professional, you're saying?
yeah, there's some advantage to that or something.
Yeah. Now that you say that, we've fortunately hired a fractional CFO to help guide us through shit like that. And funny enough, she was asking me just a couple days ago, how many hours do you, uh, put into real estate? And I'm like, however many I have to. If if it checks, how many hours does it take for the IRS to accept that? That's how many hours we do.
But the reality is, I mean, we're dealing with real estate 24/7. So,
It's the reality.
oh, and I got a website for you. I don't know if I told you about this before, and all the listeners. Mashvisor, you ever heard of that?
No.
Check it out, Mashvisor. I don't know why it's named that, but basically, it's an awesome software website for real estate investing. There's a free version, and then there's obviously the paid version. But basically what it does is it aggregates everything for sale. You know, it's like the calculations that you do, but it does them for you. Like you look in an area, like say I'm wanting to buy a rental in this part of Chattanooga, pulls up everything for sale, and then it pulls up what the rental, aggregate of rentals around there, basically what it thinks you could get for rent for it, and then does all the calculations, your cash on cash, your da da da, what it would pull you as an Airbnb or a long-term rental. It just does all the calculation. So basically, what you could do is quickly evaluate of all the potential houses by here. What's the best deal? You know that sort of thing. Now, is it 100%? I
Legit.
mean, sometimes you look at it and you're like, yeah, I don't think I can quite get that much rent.
Sure.
But it's not
That's a
bad.
helpful tool.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not
if
terrible.
you can get close enough, that's as good as you're going to get.
Yeah, it's called Mashvisor, and then
Mash
obviously
five.
Yeah, Air DNA I think is a good one for Airbnbs. You
Yep.
can put one in; it'll tell you. What it's doing is pulling the rents in the area, so that you're
Yep.
in the ballpark. So
Yep.
you've got a foundation company, real estate company, pest control company, anything else, and home inspection company. Anything else?
We sold the foundation company, but we do have a staging and design company, a radon mitigation, and my wife has the short term rental company.
Cool. Let's go to radon mitigation. So did y'all go somewhere to get certified? How did that
Yeah.
come about? And do
Yeah.
you have higher radon there? Just give me some background on that. How'd you get into it? Well,
Uh,
obviously you're
yeah.
testing for radon with your home inspection.
Yeah. I mean, there's a variety of different places to get education from. The NRPP, although the state of Tennessee doesn't have guidelines to go by, we still want to follow like the National Radon, Association. And then, yeah, we're according to the EPA, we're a zone two. So we find radon in every single house we've ever tested. Typically, it's going to be around, 2 to 15.
Wow. Yeah, we don't have too many 15s. I wish. Well, I shouldn't say I wish we did because that means more lung cancer, but it certainly
Yeah,
means more business.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
really
we
good friend.
found I think we found like 42 once.
Wow.
But,
Wow. So how did you set that up? Do you have like a crew that does that, or are they home inspectors and then they do that when there's no home inspections? How did you make that work?
Yeah, I think the whole beginning of a bunch of this is we wanted to create gainful employment for
When
inspectors when it
slow,
got slow.
slow,
So
yeah,
if you want to go over here and make $22 an hour, you know, learning how to use a nail gun or working on something, then we can do gainful employment. It sucks on your cash a little bit, but yeah, the guy that runs Radon now was an inspector, and I think there's just a certain life inspectors have, and some people just grow out of it. I don't. Some people really love it and thrive there. However, again, we want to create opportunities for good people that are loyal and happy, and see the culture that our team has built, and they want to stay a part of it and even make it bigger.
yeah. Way back, I used to do home inspection. I worked for another company and I started my own, and I was doing a lot of termite treatments and home inspections. I was licensed in both, and I liked both. So I like doing home inspections, and you would think like you wouldn't, but sometimes I like just going to do the termite job, Malcolm, because on that day, I could just go out and I'll only have to talk to people right at the beginning. And then I really don't have to talk to people all day. I'd listen to a book or something and just start doing my work. And it was like, because I got to trench and drill. And, some people might think that that's like mindless work or something. But man, I thought it was like, hey, ring the bell, school's in. I'm listening to a book or something, and I enjoyed a couple of days like that because I didn't have to talk to anybody, even though people would say I'm extroverted. I'm really not. It's an act.
And it's taxing. I recently got into running, and like running without a podcast or a book or anything, it's become very similar in satisfaction that I'm just like, hey man, I know how to talk to anybody. I can talk to me, work out,
Yeah.
some problems with that asshole. Or you can just let your mind be numb and worry about your feet hitting the pavement.
Yeah. My daughter just ran the bridge run down in Charleston. And I used to do that before I got sciatica now. My wife won't let me. But so
Is it that
it's
big
a,
ass bridge?
yeah, 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 the Ravenel.
Oh, I don't even like driving over that thing.
Well, it's a 10K, which is like what 6.2 miles,
Yeah,
6.3, something like that. I mean, obviously I never did a marathon or anything. Even the first guy who did a marathon back in Greece like died right after he did it.
yeah,
So I
yeah. That's true. That's true.
and Malcolm, you've met me. I'm like a big, like I have a large head, I have large elbows. My wife's like, you're not a runner. You're just
Yeah,
not a runner. But anyway, neither here nor there. My daughter asked me
true.
for
I
advice,
like
and I
it.
said, and I did it several times. So it's like I said, that's 6 miles. And I was, so I did it in 59, 55, 55, as long as I could do it under an hour. I guess that was what, a 9-minute mile or something.
Pretty
But
fast.
I told her, I said, it's going to take me about an hour. So this is what I did. I made myself a playlist and I figured out, most songs are like 3 to 4 minutes long. So I just figured out like, hey, I just got to listen to 15 to 16, 17 songs. It's like listening to an album. you know,
I
she's
like
like,
it.
what's an album? She's young. I was like, well, an album used to have like 10 to 15 songs on it. So I was like, instead of me thinking, oh my God, this hurts, I'm just thinking, hey, I just got, 12 more songs, you know.
I like, I like it. I
So
like it.
anyway, now that I've taken us way
Solid
down the
advice.
rabbit hole, um, a couple of other things. So I want to talk quickly about your staging. How did you get in that? You bought a staging company, and I know nothing about that other than the peripheral. Tell me about that business.
A buddy of mine had one, and it struggles just because it takes a lot of money up front, and cash, because we choose to use real furniture instead of like, some blow up mattress or cardboard sofa. And if you haven't checked,
Think
furniture's
TV.
expensive. Yeah, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Uh, had it, and then I purchased the majority of it from him, and we just moved to a bigger warehouse, bought a couple of trucks, bought more furniture, and then again, fortunately, have a team that just handles that.
That's crazy, man. You're like the Renaissance. You got more businesses going, which is awesome. Now, did you have to
Than I
get like
should, more than I should. Yeah, you're right about that.
did you get like a warehouse space or mini storage? I mean, where do you store this furniture when it's not in a house?
So, I mean, we like real estate. So, fortunately, we were in an old warehouse, and the opportunity came up to personally buy, or our holdings company to purchase a bigger, better, cooler warehouse, and we were just became the staple tenant.
Yeah, cool.
And I think we're in like a
Well,
5,000 square foot warehouse.
that's awesome. So let me ask you this, Malcolm. What does the future look like for Malcolm? 5, 10 years?
I should really ask myself that question, Preston.
Yeah, I didn't mean to stump you or anything. Yeah, if you asked me, I was like, I want to finish my book.
I
It's
want you
going
to
to be
finish your
elephant
book.
in, be the elephant in the room. I got 6 chapters.
In that many years, yeah, I don't know, man. I really don't. You mentioned we got, a 4 and a 7 year old boy, 4 and 7 year old boys, which I'm really just loving, like hanging out with them. I don't know at what age they tell you to piss off and don't want to be your bud anymore. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, because I would like, to. We're coaching both their baseball teams. I don't know. Work wise, I hope to assemble a crew that's large and motivated enough to where we can all create and provide meaningful, gainful employment, and somehow be able to create, financial scholarships for our teammates' children.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
really my.
That is awesome. So let me ask you this. I know the answer before I ask. So your 2 kids, are their personalities like way different? Do you find yourself wondering like you guys are from the same gene pool, same parents, but it doesn't
I,
seem
you
like they are?
no, yeah, I'm like, you guys, man, are, again, 4 and 7. They just, I'm like, man, you guys are terrorists today, and then the next day you're an angel, and then like one's really like smart. My older one is really smart. Like he can beat me at chess. He knows more about presidents, dinosaurs, and solar system than I do. But my younger one, the doctor's like, yeah, he's gonna need catcher's outfit or shoulder pads. He's gonna be a big boy. And like my wife jokes, she's like, man, our older son, like he knew every body part in Spanish when he was 4. My current 4-year-old can't count to 10.
Right, right.
I'm
It
like,
sounds like
yeah.
do you ever listen to or there was a book about what's the guy who owns Virgin everything,
Um,
Branson.
yep.
And one of his teachers early on said, "You're either going to be a billionaire or you're going to be in prison." So, fortunately,
Fair enough.
I guess it was the former. But yeah, I think that might apply to at least one of my kids. But anyway, all right. Well, let me ask the most popular question. I probably asked you before, but it may have been updated since then. And then we'll play a quick game, and then I'll let you go. I want to be respectful of your time. What is the wildest, craziest, or weirdest thing you've ever found on an inspection or one of your guys? Um, and we've had some crazy answers.
I would probably have to say an 8-year-old shaking her drunk mother that was passed out in the front yard.
What?
Yeah,
Holy
that's crazy.
cow.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow. Was this like, was it an early morning inspection or something, or
Nope.
just,
It was at 2 o'clock. It was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Showed up.
wow.
All the lights in the house were on. The door was open. What the hell's going on? Finally, go to check like the water meter, and the lady's actually like halfway in the road, and she little kid's shaking. My mom's okay. My mom's okay.
Oh man, that's terrible. Was she the owner or was she just somebody like,
I mean, I don't know if she owned it or rented it or whatnot, but it was sad as hell. Yeah. And then she woke up and tried to like leave. So we blocked her in and called the police. I mean, I'm like, I don't really know like what to do. And then after sounding it out, like it's obvious that we call the freaking police.
Yeah.
Um, and they were
What
they're
is it? DHS Home Services or something.
D
Something.
DCS, Department of Children's
DCS.
Services, whatever it is.
Something.
I tell you, I was so impressed when you said when we called the police and said there was a child involved, bro. It was like 15 cars in like minutes.
Wow.
It was impressive, and I think fortunately everything finally worked out. But I don't know what to do, man. A drunk lady passed out with an 8-year-old kid shaking her. That's
Wow.
that's that spells all kinds of
Yeah.
bad
I
things.
I haven't had that. I know one time we are actually supposed to do a termite treatment on this house, and I went out to the house, and it was kind of in the hood, but it's one of those areas that's starting to gentrify, and it was a crawl space, and it was high on this one end, which I love because there was headroom. And I went into that crawl space, and golly, man, there was this woman living in there, and she was like homeless, and she had a kid, and obviously I couldn't treat it for termites. I had to call, but it really, it's kind of a wake up call that I don't know what led her to that, and I don't want to be judgy or anything. I don't know. I don't know the whole story. I was just kind of like, yeah, we're supposed to treat this for termites, but we obviously won't do that today. But I kind of
Here's
told her, I was
lunch.
like, huh?
I said, "Here's lunch."
Yeah, yeah. But I told her I've obviously got a call, and they're probably, I don't know. You may want to get ahead of this. I was trying to tell her and help her out a little bit, but she had put up some sheets and stuff. They were literally like kind of living in that crawl space on that end that was there was more headroom, but it was sad. It was really sad. I don't
I
that was 10
really
year
hate that.
10 10 11 years ago. So I don't know. Hopefully she got some help or something. But anyway, now that
Hopefully,
we've killed the
hopefully for the
buzz,
kids' sake. Yeah.
yeah,
So now that you have zero listeners,
yeah, exactly. Now that everybody slit their wrist,
yeah.
let's do something fun. All right, quick game of this or that. So I'm going to give you two things, and you just pick between them:
Okay.
iOS or Android.
iOS, Apple.
Man, boo.
Shoot
I,
me
I,
the
yeah, I'm
Siri.
the green.
Delete this conversation.
I'm the green text, man. Everybody in my
You're the
family's iOS.
you're the reason, Preston. Nobody can change anything in a group chat. Just so you know,
Yes. I
you're the
know my
reason.
family said that song, that Taylor Swift song. It's me. It's
It's
about
you.
me
Yeah,
within
it
the
is
because
you.
I won't change.
It is you.
Smartwatch or old fashioned wristwatch?
I mean, I
Garmin.
use a Garmin. Yeah. Would that
Cool,
be a
cool.
smartwatch?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you had to go, would you rather go without internet for a month or without a shower for a month?
I would love to go without internet for a month. It sounds like
Me
a
too.
dream.
Me too. I've been a couple of places. You ever been like, you go somewhere kind of remote and it doesn't have internet, and it always breaks down like this, Malcolm. It's like first 2 or 3 days, I think I go into detox.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I keep checking like what if it,
Yeah.
but then after about 3 days, I get used
Yeah.
to it. And
Yeah.
then
Like I'm living my life again.
exactly.
Yeah.
Day 4 and 5, like,
Yeah.
man, I don't even need, and then when you finally get back and all your messages, you're just like, I don't know. You're kind of like that movie, The Office. Remember when he was kind of in the trance or whatever? Did you ever watch The Office? Oh, dude, you got to watch that movie, man.
Oh no, The Office. Yeah, I watched it,
Remember
but that
he
was a long time ago, and I
hypnotized
don't
him,
remember shit.
and it's like nothing bothered him because he was in this hypnosis,
Okay.
and it was kind of like that. It was like, ah, screw it. And remember, like and the people came in to like what do you call it, the people who were going to come in to fire people,
Consultants.
and he told
Yeah,
people he told them the truth because he just didn't care. you know
I remember
you kind of
something like
feel like that after a day of detox. I mean, a week of
that. Oh,
detox from.
yeah.
But
Like the hell with
tac-
it, man. Nothing matters.
yeah, exactly. Tacos or pizza?
Tacos.
Pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
Sure.
All right, this is a bad one. Would you rather be in a room full of clowns or a room full of mosquitoes?
Oh shit, man. Oh man, I think mosquitoes.
You don't like clowns.
I don't like clowns.
They are pretty creepy. Um, Tennis shoes or flip flops?
Tennis shoes.
If you had to have a mullet or a bowl cut,
I would actually consider a mullet just right now.
they're coming back. They're coming
They're
back.
coming back.
LeBron or Michael?
Michael.
Yeah, that's pretty much the consensus. Ginger or Marianne?
Oof. Both?
Nice, nice. Of course, I'm sure everybody under 30 is like, what are y'all even talking about?
Yeah, yeah,
There
yeah.
was a show called Gilligan's Island, and I guess there were three women on the island. It was Ginger,
The
Marianne,
old
and Miss Howe.
lady?
Miss
Yeah,
Howe,
that's right.
but
Miss
she was
Howe.
older. But Ginger and
Yeah,
Marianne were both fairly attractive. Of course, they were probably a lot older than me when I was watching it, but but
yeah,
one was like the
yeah,
farm girl type, and the other one was like a movie star type. So
yeah.
a lot of people go for Marianne, but I've had a
Really?
few Gingers. But Malcolm wants them both, so good thing, good thing. Um, Let me see. Uh, if you could travel, if you could time travel, but you could only go to the past or the future, which one would you go to?
I'd go to the past.
I'd go to the past with a sports almanac like Biff.
Oh yeah, like Back to the Future.
Yeah,
Back in the day, there was this movie called Back to the Future.
well, he
If
had all the
nothing,
winners of all the games, so
yeah,
his sport
yeah,
betting, like he was
yeah,
killing it, right?
yeah.
I might ask you this, can't remember. Beach vacation or mountain retreat?
I like some saltwater therapy.
Same, same. I like them both. I like them
I
both.
like them both. Just like Ginger and Marianne, I'd probably choose both.
Malcolm doesn't want to limit himself to one. All right, last question. If you, I asked this last time, but I can't remember your answer. Um, if you woke up tomorrow, parallel universe, you still had all your knowledge, all your equipment, but for whatever reason, you were in a brand new market where you didn't know anybody, but you had $5,000. You got all your equipment, all that stuff, your computer, you own all that. What are you doing with that $5,000 to get your name out there?
I know my answer last time was, spend that schmoozing some real estate agents. Um, I would honestly, now I think I would be able to try to think higher level. And I would say if I had $5,000, I would hire somebody to do that for me.
Hire somebody to do the smoozing.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
to do the work while, yeah, I mean, yeah, I would hire somebody to do that.
Let me expand on that one real quick. Smoozing, and I agree with you. Well, first of all, let me say that. But smoozing has changed over time. What
Sure.
is smoozing? And I know that has a negative connotation, but I mean, it's kind of like who you know. And Ken used to teach us know, like,
Sure.
and trust. I mean, and there's
Yep.
truth to that. And if
Yep.
you're out, I mean, after you have a beer with somebody, you do, and you talk, you feel like you know them a
Yep.
little better. I mean,
Yep. Yep.
what sort of smoozing do you guys do today? Do y'all do events or sponsor classes, all the above, or what sort of stuff? Still try to do
You
sales
know,
meetings?
I think yeah, I think there's, you start with like the shotgun and you do get in front of 50 people at once, right? With an event or hamburgers or pancakes with homie or whatever it is. And then as that continues, then you can cherry pick if you want to cherry pick the higher producers or the people that you just gravitate towards a little better and then create a meaningful relationship. If they're a person that you want to be around, that natural relationship's going to build if you're around them and you're talking similarly. And if not, you're probably not going to want to work with that kind of person anyhow.
Yeah, 100%. And you don't want all the business. I mean, there's some business you don't want. Let me say that.
No, no. In fact, I think the better advice that I've heard from you or Ken is, once a year, you need to consider purging 10 to 15% of your referral sources.
Yeah, there's some, I don't know if it's just, and again, I don't want to throw shade on agents because there's some agents that are fantastic, but there's some, it seems like, every second deal with them is a problem. And I'm like, I don't know what they're doing on their end, if they're just like saying their expectations that they're setting, or just, well, the inspector will pay for that or something. I don't know, but it just seems like, when I look at problems and callbacks and one agent's name keeps coming up over and over, well, that's a good a candidate for what you were just talking about.
Right.
100%. Well, thank you so much, um, Malcolm. I'm getting old, dude.
Yeah, you are. Preston,
You,
I really appreciate your time. I don't know if you're going to have a big listeners or followers, or if they're going to give a shit about what you and I have to talk about. However,
because we're old.
I'll spend an hour talking to you any day. So if you run out of candidates to interview, you call me back up again, okay, buddy?
All right. Well, if somebody wants to find out more about you or follow up with you, I mean, is there a way? And oh, by the way, if you guys got value out of this interview, which you did, let's give Malcolm some love, give him some likes, follows, whatever the kids do these days. So tell us all the places that you're on,
Yeah,
the internet, like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, if you're on that. What's
all
your
all
handles?
all the things. To be honest with you, we're Chattanooga Home Inspector, and then we're kind of morphing into my city home inspector so we can expand without that geo modifier. So to be honest, I don't really know what our handle is. Um, but if you look up my city Chattanooga Home Inspector, you'll find us.
Yeah, I got on your thing here. It's like Chattanooga Home Inspector. Now, are you on Instagram and TikTok as well, or
Personally, no,
but you
bro. But
got people
yes,
that
our
are?
business stuff is yes.
Yeah, I got people that are
TikTok the things.
a little bit younger than me and understand all that. Well, thank you so much, Malcolm. I appreciate all. Is there an email address that you'd be willing to give out? Oh, not a phone
Sure.
number.
If you can, anybody can reach out to me at Malcolm at omnihs.com. That's OMNIHS.com. And be glad to follow up. Or if any of your listeners have a podcast and they also want to waste an hour with uh, me and telling them what not to do in business, feel free.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Malcolm, thank you so much for your time, and I'll catch you at the next conference, brother.
You got it, buddy. Thanks.